Okay, we're good to go. Rachel, you wanna kick us off?
Okay, we have roll call.
All right, Atkins? Here. Aldridge? Notice absent, sorry. Campbell?
Here.
Hannah?
Here.
I am Pruitt.
Here.
All right.
Okay, now I see we have a couple of voting items on here. We have the approval of the December minutes.
I'll do this in the minutes.
All looks good to me. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Get that down.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Sorry. I forgot that you're not here, Susan.
She was opposed.
Hannah, you moved and then
Yes,
Kenny
yes,
said,
I
okay,
did.
all right, cool.
Oh,
Just ready to get it done.
I know.
but I'm used to her just sitting right there.
Right.
She's been here for most of them.
Oh, Paul and Gal, on the wrong thing, close that one out now, and then go back, all right, now, there, all right, place, all right.
Okay. Now we have the approval of the December financials.
All right, I can present on those briefly, and nothing really new. Well, I wish I could, it's not showing how I wanted to show.
Yeah. Look at 3 lines here.
Yeah.
You'll have to freeze the first. Okay.
There we go, all right, well, that doesn't really help, does it? Hold on, wait, hold on, it should let you guys. Go that way. I need to adjust my. No, that didn't help. Okay, let's see. There we go.
That's okay.
Can I see that kind of?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, nothing really trending in any kind of concerning way. All these little things are showing up because there's nothing budgeted there, so, it's looking weird, which kind of goes on saying, that once you get into expenses. We had some, probably the biggest one that I saw, this accounting is over. It was 4,000 versus 3,000, I'm not sure why that is. That went up, but I'll have to investigate into that. And then, we go down, the other one, this one, is non-tech repair, that's gonna be, we've had lots and lots of HVAC issues that persist, as well as other things. So we're gonna need to look at that. I know one of the things that we're probably gonna get into now, and Griffin, you had asked about this, about cost sharing around, facilities with, the teen center.
Yeah.
Since we're, here and running it. So, within our sort of MOU with them was that after they had been here until January, we would go back and look at the utilities.
And that increased usage.
Yeah, and the increased usage, and then sort of like try to square up then. So Beth and I need to sit down and have a meeting about that and talk about that, as well as possibly around, not that they're responsible for any of the repair, but just like how do we make that work? you
Yeah,
know?
increased usage.
Right, exactly, exactly.
At least with that word.
Yeah, so we need to figure out that.
Who do you guys use for HVAC? Is it Blaylock or
Yes,
Ashley?
yes, Blaylock is great, but they are normally expensive, I believe.
Mhm.
So, but, the main thing that we get from them that is, and that's, they do the installs and stuff,
Yeah.
but that the only times they didn't have budgets, they should be, I think that the problem is that she's aggregated these things out,
Mhm.
but the budget has not, the budget was in an umbrella,
Mhm.
right? And so these line items have been aggregated out, and the little aggregate pieces have not had budget allowed to them, because it was in a larger umbrella, so we kind of need to look at that, so we're gonna sit down and talk about that. And then Software, yeah, and so this is, it looks bad because it's 120%. But this is all funding costs, as you can see here, like by August, we had paid this much, right? And so that's really why, this is all a bunch of subscriptions and stuff like that. So our costs should go, I mean, yeah, we're a little over, where it need to be, but we shouldn't continue to have ongoing costs with that. We pay all of our subscriptions now. And one of the main reason I think we went over there, was because, I think it happened here. There was one that we signed an MOU for, that we ended up not using this year, and then we tried to cancel, and so we were kind of going back and forth with them quite a bit of like, hey, we actually don't need this, and they're like, yeah, but you signed, an invoice, and so anyway, so we ended up, after threat of lawsuit, we ended up just, I was like, okay, we'll eat it this year, but we will never use you again. So, anyway, so that ended up being a little bit over what we had budgeted, and everything else is, trending in the way that it needs to, as far as for this year. And we don't need to go into the overarching discussion, so we probably will have some of those, in our last, informational item today, which is gonna talk about the state's report, they give you some context around that. That's all I got on, budget.
And a motion to approve the December financials.
I'll motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? I'm waiting.
Okay, next piece, myself organized and get maybe this, is talk about the dashboard, and I will. And Susan, I hopefully, I don't know if you're on a computer, you can follow along with this. I'm not projecting all of this, I'm just leaving the agenda projected, because it's getting too complicated for me. But hopefully,
It's fine, I'm following along, the agenda.
Okay, all right, awesome.
I'm pulling everything up as you're going through on my phone and iPad, so.
So I just thought I would share this with you. This is what we designed over the break, myself and admin team, and it's kind of an ongoing process. We used this, not last year, but the year before. And we use this, first off, our admin team has a meeting and kind of goes through the data in this on Monday morning. And then Monday afternoon, and we the admin team kind of digs further in, talks about, uses this to shape our discussions about how things are going. And then we use this dashboard to report out on Monday afternoon at our Monday huddle, to the rest of the staff, so they can just kind of see what's going on and see things. So anyway, I'll just kind of walk through this, and so this is how we start off with the celebration with the shout outs. And enrollment, so 169 is where we're at for enrollment. And once we have enough data points, we'll start just using bar graphs of what's the total enrollment, so we can kind of see week to week if we're fluctuating or whatever. A lot of this only has right now a small set of data. Discipline, and Courtney put this one together, she's like, oh, I'm so disappointed in our discipline, because if you look at last year at this point in the school year, it's like ISR per student, OSS per student, how many cell phones, incident average, and everything looks like we were way less incidents last year versus this year. And so we were kind of like, what is it? Why? What is going on here? And so of course, I've got to figure it out. I know what it is. And last year with cell phones, students got only a detention, and detentions don't get entered into e-school because it's just like, it's not an exclusionary discipline. ISR, OSS, expulsion, all that, because it's exclusionary discipline where you're removing a student from the classroom setting, that has to go into e-school. But like detention, schools just generally handle them kind of not in e-school. So all of our cell phone, last year we were using detentions a lot more for both cell phones and then other things as well. And this year we've been using ISR more than detentions. And if you look at that, you can look at what the cell phone average was. It wasn't that students were using cell phones less last year. It's that they weren't getting recorded because they were just detentions, not at ISR. So you see that's a pretty big piece of that gap of total incidents. And then also there's just more ISR than last last year, so that's.
Well, I should probably know this, but why did it switch to where it's now as high?
Because detentions, a few different, detentions weren't taking it seriously.
Okay,
That's one thing. Another thing is that detentions, if they don't come to detentions after two absences not go to detentions, if they miss it twice, they would get a grace period, and then if you didn't make it, then you had ISR anyway.
okay.
And so it was basically just more administrative work because the kids were going to ISR anyway by and large.
Just skipping the good part.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so that was, that was a big piece of it. But really, I mean, that is a piece of it, but really it's more about, having a real severe consequence.
Yeah.
That's, the kids know.
It's punitive though to get
Yeah.
them to stop doing this.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's discipline. And then, into attendance. And we aren't sure, we haven't, Courtney put this up too, and it's the same thing, we're blue as last year, and you can see our attendance is lower, and that's, the higher, you want higher, that's the percent of kids that are coming. And so this is our average attendance. We had, 80.47 was last week's attendance, 80.47%. And so, we aren't sure, we have a new attendance policies that starts now, this is for the whole year at this point. We have a new attendance policy that started this semester, so we hope that helps some, but we aren't sure. I mean, once you guys are getting that accountability report, I mean, that's a big ding on us as attendance. And it's not that it ends up affecting our letter grade directly, they don't figure that into your letter grade, but it just affects your appearance as a school, And they're like, man, you guys have really chronic attendance issues.
Are you comparing all of last school year?
Correct.
With half of this school
Correct,
year?
yeah, yes.
So that could
Yeah.
swing.
Yeah, it could, yeah, we are in kind of the throes of things, and, so that could swing, and we could
Flu and
see,
everything else.
yeah, exactly, so, that could certainly change, as we go through, and, maybe the attendance will get better this semester than it was last semester, yeah, we'll see. So it could certainly swing, we'll see. So as of, another thing that happened, which could definitely swing it, to your point, Ken, we filed 20 FINSs, before break. That was a tough 2 days in last week, because Kinley basically had to be in court a full day, and then McKenzie had to be in court the next day for almost a full day, dealing with our kids that were there. And if you have an ear in the court system, you might talk to them about scheduling and learning how to schedule in smaller blocks, because they tell you to be there at 9 o'clock, and your kids might not go till afternoon, and because there's such a delay and just like whatever, so and that's a pretty big ask for, to have, at a school of our size, with a small number of staff members, to have somebody that's tied up in court all day to talk. It may not even get called to stand, so anyway, that's a separate, bigger issue. And and then this, so it says 7 FINS warning letters, have been mailed. So as of today, they're not on FINS yet, but they've had 4 absences, so they're progressing quickly towards FINS. And so we've already sent out letters to them telling them like, hey, you get your kids' attendance, in line, because they're in danger here. I'm excited, super excited about this. We started doing walkthroughs, and I've done the walkthroughs traditionally. I asked staff, and they very graciously, Allison, Kristen, Courtney, and Christy as well, they gladly stepped up, and I asked, I'd like a little help with walkthroughs. And I'd like it to help hold me accountable as well, because if I'm just the one doing them, it's very easy for me to get sidetracked. But if we have sort of a group collaborative plan, then we hold each other accountable to it. And so what we do is, we have a rotation, where there's 3 basically groups of teachers, and 3 of us rotate. So last week I observed 5 different teachers, this week I'll have a different 5 teachers, and then the next week I'll have a different set of teachers. Allison, she observes, we have 3 novice teachers, she does just those every week, because we think that that's gonna be good for them.
Mhm.
I would like, so Alice was in a novice teacher's classroom today, that I also assigned to that this week, and so we were both in classrooms at different times, but we both are observing that teacher. So we have the soul rotation set up, and we have some sort of like non-negotiables that we agreed on at the end of the last year, talking about what we're gonna be looking for.
Mhm.
The first one is appropriate use of the classroom environment. And originally we said have a seating chart, we realized that doesn't really matter, because if you don't have, you can have a seating chart and kids aren't sitting in it, or you can have a seating chart and it's not appropriate for what's happening, because all the kids are up doing an activity or whatever. So we broadened that out to just say like, hey, the classroom environment, whatever that activities that's going on, that you're appropriately using the environment is conducive to learning. Clearly posted standards, so the state standards clearly posted, a clearly posted student-driven objective, meaning what are the students supposed to be actually accomplishing and be able to do by the end of that class period. And we're still doing a lot of training around that. As far as how do you know that at the end of that class period, those students could do that or couldn't do that, and what are you gonna do? So there's definitely, we've gotten much better at writing our objectives, but we're still, the work is now to have assessments for those objectives, some little checks to understand, to see whether students are progressing towards that objective. That there's only 15 minutes of direct instruction max, but it doesn't have to be full 15 minutes. And that just means that the teacher's standing in front of in front of the classroom, no more than, in a 45-minute classroom, no more than 15 minutes of that. And now that could be broken up, and it could be a teacher talks for a while, then the kids do stuff, talks for a while, do stuff. But only a third of the class max should be just the teacher standing up there talking, without the kids doing something.
Mhm.
Student activities, and there's a whole list of those, but, if the teacher isn't there talking, students should be taking notes. If the students should be engaging in learning actively, that could be taking notes, that could be having discussion amongst themselves, that could be participating in a practice activity, that could be taking a test, it could be writing, could be reading, whatever, but the students aren't just passive receptacles sitting there zoned out. And so that as well. Teacher circulation, the teachers are walking around the classroom, the students are working, making sure that helping the students, encouraging them, making sure that they're on task. And then final one, that all the kids in that particular class are actually on the roster. Because once again, having issues with kids hiding out in classes where they weren't supposed to be, because they didn't want to be in their math class, or they didn't want to be in their class. And so you can see, this is out of 14 observations. So you can see clearly posted student-driven objective, 13 out of 14 classes had that. So that's awesome. You can see that our weak areas here, clearly posted standard. So teachers would have an objective, and the objective are kind of like, the standard is the big thing, and the objectives are kind of the steps along the way to get to that standard, right? The standard is what the state says, students should be able to do all these things around author intent. There's like 7 different pieces that they should be able to analyze in order to understand what an author intention or how an author constructs their intent. And so the objectives would be kind of like, what are the steps and what are all the different components that they need to know in order to do that? That would be the objectives. So anyway, so we had great on objectives, not so great on standards that the objective ties into. And then also limiting 15 minutes of direct instruction. That was also something that we need to work on as well. So anyway, this is data that we'll be keep going and keeping as we do these. We're also creating, it's kind of a point system. Griffin actually donated some cash cards, and we're going to use those to reward teachers who have a leaderboard of who has the most points. And so then we'll reward those teachers as they
Need to get you more of those.
Yeah, well, we haven't used them yet, so I'll let you know whenever we start running out.
Hey, question about the assessment. So when you do these walkthroughs, is it the entire class?
Great question. So,
I mean, to accomplish some of these, I feel like you need to spend some time in the room.
it depends.
Yeah.
So some people have, some of our veteran teachers, they've been around a long time,
Mhm.
they may not have as long of a walkthrough.
Mhm.
Some of our other teachers who need more support may have a longer walkthrough. And so it just depends. And so our novice teachers are all getting long walkthroughs, so full class.
Yeah.
So they get full class observations, our novice teachers do. And so it just depends kind of on the continuum where people are.
But to hit that middle metric of limit of 15 minutes of direct, minimum of 15 minutes.
No, not minimum, maximum of 15 minutes.
Okay,
Maximum of 15.
Okay.
No more than 15 minutes.
got it. Got it.
We don't want them up there talking longer than
Yeah.
15 minutes. you
But
know.
in order to make that assessment, the
You've gotta
walkthrough
be
person
there,
has to
right,
be in there for a
right,
period
right.
to be able to.
And so that's what we had a meeting on yesterday,
Yeah.
this team did, and whenever I was trying to explain this to teachers, because this is the first day the teachers have seen all this,
Mhm.
and I had some thoughts around that, of like, maybe the reason that the limit of 15 minutes wasn't, because they weren't in there long enough to observe. what it
Yeah.
was. So if I'm coming into our observation of 10 minutes at the first of the class,
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
then I don't really know if they stopped at 15 minutes or not,
Right.
so I can't, so there's some kinks that we have to iron out. I had a similar thing with teacher circulation,
Mhm.
to increase, if I came in the first class, I only observed the first 10 minutes, the teacher may not be circulating because they may be up there,
Exactly.
talking or whatever, and, so they may not be circulating, because the circulation happens whenever the kids start to, work, so.
Mhm.
We've gotta kinda have some conversations as a team, and there's a few things we talked about, we need to norm out like that, and make sure that we're all kind of doing the same thing. We have some other things around what percentage of the students were engaged, we had a real big conversation about that yesterday, how do you judge
Engagement.
and how do you count that, well, they were engaged at the first 30 minutes of the class, and then I saw them kinda drift off for 5 minutes, and so, so it's, so we're having some conversations around that.
It's always just once a week for each teacher.
Yep, and then for novices, we'll have twice a week, basically, or two observations a week for novices. So that's Rebecca, James, and, there's one more, Mel, so. And Tiffany also gets full observations, actually, right? That was 3. Or no, she, no, because of novice, so,
Mhm.
okay. And then IXL, which is super cool. So IXL is the thing that we're using right now. You can see that we have a leaderboard going right now. We have, with 2 days left on this leaderboard, this kid's answered 719 questions. And that's in less than a week. That leaderboard started last Friday. So he's answered that many. But you can see what we're seeing is, you got your top 11, and then you start getting to no questions answered.
Mhm.
And so we've got some kids that are really embracing this, and it's great that they are, but we've got to kind of broaden it out. And so we have some plans in the works for that as well. And then this is skills, and this is same thing since Friday, the number of skills they demonstrated proficiency in within this. And in demonstrated proficiency, I think you have to answer 6 in a row around that specific, correctly in a row around a specific skill, or maybe 8, I can't remember. And then to do mastery, you gotta answer 10. I've played around with some and done some, but anyway. So we have these leaderboards going all the time, there's all kinds of cool stuff that we're doing with this, anyway, it's a lot of fun.
Are there any rewards for the students?
Yeah, so right now, it's unfortunately just recognition and like a certificate. Oh, actually, that's not true. We gave them, all of our leaderboard winners last week got Andy's gift cards, like free concrete or whatever they call it, Andy's.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we were able to find stuff. We need to keep building that out, so if you know anybody that has fast food and, that they are like,
I can reach out to
yeah, if you know anybody, Sonic or McDonald's, free fries, whatever, any of that stuff is
I
awesome.
think Taco Bell gives out stuff for students.
Taco Bell, yeah, so that'd be awesome. So, and then, let's see, next thing grades data. Okay, this is the new one for us, and this is also a work in progress. So, on January 7th and 9th, because there was only 3 days, and we weren't really assigning anything. We had 221 missing assignments among all kids. January 12th through 16th, we had 782 missing assignments. And now you gotta think about, that's, 200 something kids, or no, sorry, it's 170 kids. They each have 5 to 6 classes that are academic. And so, it's not that that's not small by any means.
Mhm.
And a lot of the teachers have said, well, the reason is because, a lot of kids were absent. And so right now it shows that they have a missing assignment because they weren't there. And so this is something else that we're working with. But the biggest piece that we're trying to get into with this is really, and we have a good report that we can run now, and really being able to remove that sort of like, that option of I'm just not gonna do these things. students, that I'm gonna, make it, cause we have a homework club now, so they're gonna get pulled in for homework club, they're gonna get badgered until they complete what they're supposed to complete. So anyway, and so we're keeping this data as well. This Edgenuity, this is our credit recovery. There's a lot of kids that are trying to recover credits. They did Edgenuity. Some kids might have 7 courses they're trying to cover. Some might have 1 course they're trying to recover, right? It just depends. They might have a half of a course that they had one semester they failed geometry in 10th grade, and so they're trying to get the second semester geometry. So it's hard. This isn't granular at all. This is very much big picture. But all the kids have a goal that they're supposed to be making for that week to meet the progress. And that progress, the fact is, a lot of kids can sit down. They don't have to follow that goal because they can sit down in one time in fell swoop and knock out a bunch of the class, right? You all know how self-directed learning is. But regardless, it's a good idea. It's good to see where they're at, how they're progressing, and all that. So let me actually try to see let's go back to it. Anyway, so you can see it. The good thing is here in 120, we've got we're at one of our highest percentages being our goal. And so that means that we feel like we're making progress. We feel like that they're really starting to feel a little pressure. The advisors are putting a lot of pressure on them. We let the juniors know that if they did not hit enough of their credits recovered to be seniors, then they would be juniors again next year. And so that's also lit a fire underneath their advisors to stay on. They're like, I want to see you graduate. I want you to be my advisor when you graduate. I don't want to see you get knocked down to another advisory. So we're seeing some of that going. I can't see this because it's not showing. But similar thing what we have, if you get into over here, this is how many courses have been completed. This is not cumulative, right? So here you can see that's probably one course, 2 courses. But that is within that time frame from 9:25 to 10:10. That was how many courses. If you're able to see it, then it's actually.
You can see here.
If you see it, you can see that we actually had a lot. Since we've been back, there's been a lot of courses completed within a pretty short amount of time. So we're seeing that as well. So anyway, there is our dashboard. Any questions on that?
No, for me, I guess,
Okay.
just getting more data, that's gonna be,
Yeah.
that'll be more helpful.
And and that's, so as we go into our, I don't know if you all read this, I sent it to you. I sent you the large report, I believe, of what they had said. This was handy dandy notebook LM, summarized it for me and just pulled out what was a quick summary of it. And so, academic student performance, this is not telling us anything we don't know. We've got severe absenteeism at times, we've got low academic, we've got declining graduation rates, which we think is gonna go back up, or we know is gonna go back up. All this stuff is all the things, and just to kind of talk about, because I was confused, because in December when they presented this to the board, this was a meeting to kind of introduce the charter schools that are on Fs and, have had issues. And so it has that landscape analysis, which we get and turn into them. So then this kind of got attached along with it, and so my understanding was, because we had an F, that's due to our letter grade. That's due to academics, that's due to graduation rate, that's due to these things, right? Well, so I was really surprised whenever they started talking about, governance, operations of governance, and enrollment stability, and financial health, because none of those really have anything to do with the fact that we got an F. I mean, they do, it's a holistic picture, of course, but I mean, that's really not why we're up before the board right now. It's probably a risk because we are an F, we also are right now up for charter renewal. This stuff that they send is about charter renewal, okay? And so I said, well, I'm presenting on next Thursday, in front of the thing. I was kind of curious, well, I need to prepare for this because this is what you presented to the charter authorizing panel, so I need to be able to talk about all these other issues. And they said, no, I mean, you know, there might be a question, but this is when are we going, April or May, and actually do our charter renewal. This is the stuff that they'll be more interested in, more the bigger picture, that stuff. Theoretically, what I should only be, the main thing I should be addressing whenever we go down next Thursday will be just about our F letter.
Yeah.
And whether they're gonna put us on probation or not. If we go on probation, which it doesn't matter because we're on probation anyway, if you have an F, you're on probation, because if you get 2 more Fs, your school gets
Yeah.
taken away, you know? So I mean, so this is, they're kind of trying, they're, you know, flying the plane as they go, they aren't really sure exactly how they're doing, this has changed repeatedly. So what they're looking at right now is if we be put on probation, we'd be on probation until April when our charter hearing comes. We get approved regardless of being on probation or not. In June, when the letter grades come out, if we had a D, all right, and our charters, when we do that charter renewal and look at all this, they will have worked with us, the charter office will, to create an improvement plan, all right? And all districts would have an improvement plan, doesn't matter if you have an F or a D, whatever. If that gets accepted, that'd be the first step to get on, and we get our charter renewed, that'd be the first step to get on probation. Then if we get a D on our letter grade and not an F again, we would then be on sort of like direct, I don't know, they're not supervision, but basically just like a little more intensive monitoring process where they're like helping you, looking at your improvement plan. And then if we then, the next year, we're fine after the end of that year, got a D or preferably a C after that, then we'd go on probation altogether. As long as we get another F. So that's sort of what they're looking at. There's still a pretty big push among various people to not have us put on probation at all. And so I mean, there's gonna be a vote, and they're trying to get it where there's not, and I'm gonna make the argument that this is the first time this has happened, the first effort we've had. We're up for a financial piece right now, that it doesn't look great if we're on probation.
Right.
You know, for the optics of that are not great when we're trying to, you know, secure, and so anyway, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so I did wanna, and I kinda got, in my discussion with the charter office, talked a little bit about this. A lot of this stuff here is specifically around governance and transparency and compliance violations. I mean, financial health we talked about, we know, yeah, we gotta make staffing cuts in order to make a fiscally viable. We can't keep operating like we are, so that's not what we're talking about. But this piece bothered me because it's really hoops that weren't jumped, actually the hoops were jumped through. We've always gotten our accreditation every year. There's never been an indication that we were in any kind of problem. It's always for charters a problem because we operate a little differently. We have certain courses that we don't offer, and so it takes forever to get cleared to the engine. Our HR is a little bit different than normal schools, so the teacher licensure, and our teachers don't have to have licenses, and so that throws some flags in the engine. And so there's all these things that you have to clear, and unfortunately, every time you fix something, it takes 24 hours before it updates, and you can check and see that it's actually cleared or not. So it turns into this whole like long-term process. But the fact is, every year, we've had all of everything's been cleared on our compliance. The schools, it says the schools are flagged for missing required course offerings, and that's not accurate, you know, and it says that so anyway, so that's, regardless, no one's ever brought it to our attention before, and so for me to see that appear to something that was being handed to the charter authorizing panel was a little bit concerning to me, and annoyed me. But anyway, they just said, well, it's okay, you know, so anyway. And then also around this one, this is a part of the standards for accreditation engine, is that someone goes and checks your website to make sure that in the state required information, that everything is there like it's supposed to be. every year they do that, and that's one of the things that they clear that manual and say, yep, that's all there. One of the things that's supposed to be there are your board minutes, and so they said we haven't had board minutes posted since 2023 or something like that, or posted. Well, I went and looked, even though they have said every year and haven't flagged us for this for 2 years, and they've checked it, they supposedly, because it gotten approved, the folder was not set to public. That the last two, yeah. And so it was linked there, you click on it, and then we go to a folder, and so that tells you how well they've checked every year to see whether our board member, and so anyway, that's once again, I said, this is ridiculous, we're getting, this is going up in a formal report on our school, and this is something that you all have given us approval for every year, but you're saying that, you're dinging us for it, so.
Well, how can they give us a lack of proactive discussion if they're not even able to read the minutes?
Exactly.
Where are they basing that off of? Okay,
The fact that they don't see minutes.
yeah, so they're just assuming there must
Yeah,
be
they're
no
just assuming that
discussion.
we're not even having them, I think they just assume we're not even going to have board meetings or
Okay.
something, I don't know. But once again, I went back and forth with them on this, and they said, oh, no, well, that's okay, I mean, there's no big deal, it's no big deal, you guys have approved, have shown, and it'll,
Well, it's
we'll just check it, yeah, I'm like, but it's
Yeah,
there,
what do they do? What do
and
they do?
if lenders read this, it sounds like, it sounds like
1,000%.
things are,
Yeah.
so it just paints a grimmer picture, I think, than what's fair to paint about us, but anyway. I kind of just wanted you to have ideas around that. Same thing with stagnant planning. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things had to be done every 3 years for our retention plan. And, and so, yeah, a lot of them are just kind of carried forward year to year. The years change, you may change a few things that are pertinent to it, And so anyway, that's it. I guess my issue with it is that it made these issues here seem like as big of a deal as these issues, Because to me, these are the issues that matter.
For sure. Yeah.
This stuff is, yeah, it matters, but it's just, it's, a lot of this is just hoop jumping and processes and stuff, so anyway.
So looking at those top issues and seeing what our measurements kind of were when we got the letter F to where they are at this moment. So do you feel like if we got reassessed today, our letter grade would be a D, or is it still very much?
Not today.
Not today.
In April, yes.
Yeah, right, okay.
So,
Okay.
we have a lot of work to do between now and April.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my feeling.
Mhm.
But I do feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Mhm.
I mean, I know our graduation rate's gonna go way up,
Mhm.
up to, I think we're estimated about 85. So that'll go up quite a bit. Our growth as far as our students' growth, I mean, last year we knocked out part of our lowest quartile, our lowest 25%, and not the rest of our students, and we're really hoping that that's, I mean, I know it's gonna change. Our math growth specifically is going to be much, much higher. We're seeing a lot of good stuff happening in math. Our math achievement, I mean, I can show you some things if you, I think, did I wonder, no, I deleted all that from the dashboard. Oh, here, go over here. So this is this is an interim test. So this is the test we did when we came back this semester. And so if you look at this, so this is the winter, this is the fall. All right, and if I look at, I'll just look at the one we just took in the winter. If we can. So this, oh my gosh. You can't see it. Get it to be smaller. Oh, yeah. All right. So this is, okay, there we go. All right, all right. So this is our school, all right, our school district is the same, because we're one thing. This is the state, and this is the state average on this test, okay? So green and blue is what you want, really. And you can see, that the state's 36% efficient. proficient we're right now, and that's not on, and this isn't on this interim test, this is on test zero. Right now, we're at 22% only proficient, but you can see here that, you know, our lowest scores are not as, you know, it's a lot, you'll see some other things where it's really big on the lowest scores. Whenever Christy dug into the growth between the fall and the spring, every one of her students but one grew. So,
Good.
so that was really
Yeah, that's
good.
encouraging.
Yeah. If we go into this one, would be kind of interesting to look at. This is kind of cool. So this is, the top one is the one we took in the fall. This is algebra and this is geometry. All right, and the bottom one is the one that we took in the winter. And you can see, so this is the one in the fall, and then this is the one in the summer. And you can see that, this number, and this kind of here, has grown. You can see that it's growing from 128 to 130, but more importantly, geometry. It went up from 1031 to 1037, and look at that.
Nice.
You know, and that's actually proficiency.
That's
All
great.
right, so, you know, and you can see, and then, now, I'm not gonna say, if we look at this, I can look at the state with this as well. So this is gonna be ours, all right, this is gonna be the state, all right, it's not, right?
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's not much different whenever you look at that, so, yeah, so that's good news. And our ELA is not quite as good news. I do think our ELA results for winter were skewed a little bit. They did that on the Wednesday they first returned to school. On a day when they thought it was a half day already. It's usually community service day. They're used to being able to go out in the building and do active things on Wednesday. And we're like, surprise, we're taking the Atlas interim. And it was ELA that they took on that day. So I do think that that may have skewed.
Yep.
And because there was a lot of grumbling, a lot of, what, we're back the first day, but we needed to get it done that week. We just had to get it done that week, and we were like, you know, this is a 3-day week, we can get all this testing done, and then Monday start and hit the ground running, you know, and so I think that may give us a little bit of distorted results.
Okay, hopefully room for improvement there.
Yeah. So, and I think that's basically all I have. Susan, you have anything, or are you done?
No, I couldn't see what you were showing.
I'm sorry.
But that's all right. I mean, I trusted. I saw most of it just up until the very end.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have any questions.
Okay,
Ready?
good for me.
Anything else?
I'm gonna stop our recording then.
Do we need to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like a motion